here with Quincy Williams, and you guys have to feel like you are knocking on the door to winning a lot of these games. Seems like the margin for error is very small, but boy, it seems like you're a play or two or a moment or two away from getting some of these wins.
A penalty or two. So, the biggest thing with teams like that, when you kind of like mashed up on both sides about turnovers, penalties, and getting off the field on third down, and then also sacking the quarterback, just making those plays really. The biggest thing just being consistent, coming out in the second half, continue doing what we was doing in the first half. Everybody doing their job, not trying to be Superman, just being consistent.
For your defense today, on the positive side, couple of third down conversions only for the Ravens. You pretty much bottled up their run game. The pass rush seemed to be really disciplined against Lamar Jackson because he didn't have those escape hatches to make those big plays. So the effectiveness of your defense today against the Ravens offense.
Yeah, we knew coming in the game we wanted to keep Aiden in the pocket and let him be a quarterback and get some of those just throws in, not letting him use his feet. And then, man, we got to get out the field on third down, and we can't have costly penalties at those times where we got to get out the field.
And you guys probably are still baffled about not being able to take the ball away, right? Just seems like one of those things that's just not coming to you.
Most definitely. The turnovers, bro, we got to work at it more. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I really don't know because we put a lot of thought into that and put a lot of work in there too. Though we just got to get those, man. We got to, because that, like I said, that was the difference maker of a game. Then also those sacks were different makers of a game too.
Well, you guys are playing your tails off as best you can. So thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, that's Quincy Williams, guys. Back to you.
John, did this one feel a lot like last week against the Patriots, where you guys were right in the ball game but unable to get over the hump?
I think it was. It was a little different. We came out strong. We had a solid first half, and then I think in the second half we had more errors than we probably did in the first. So I think it's like looking at that and seeing where we went wrong, what things we did right, what things we didn't quite execute on.
You get in the end zone for a second consecutive week. Can you take me through that touchdown?
I think it was similar to last week. Getting the fringe or in the red zone, we know they like to bring zero. We knew it was zero. We were in a stack. They tried to in and out us and just, capitalize on the look that they gave us.
You seem really comfortable out there this afternoon against the Ravens. A tough defense, 6 catches for 65 yards, and you get into the end zone for the second consecutive week, and you were operating with a different quarterback. Can you talk about your comfortability?
Yeah, I think it's just time on task, We have new pieces. We have moving pieces. Of course, I've been here a couple of weeks. I think it's just more reps. Like everything gets better with the more repetition you have, whether it's chemistry, whether it's comfort in the offense and the scheme, like the playbook. So I think that's just time on task.
What do you make of Adonai getting involved as well?
Say that again.
What do you make of AD, Adonai Mitchell, getting involved as well?
I think it's great. We know what he's capable of, and we see it every day in practice. But not just him, the offense as a whole. We have weapons everywhere. We have weapons at tight end. You saw them making plays. Weapons at running back, catching the ball, like on screens and checkdowns and stuff. They were making big plays. So we know we have weapons everywhere on the offense. It's not just here or there. It's just a matter of continuing to play our game and really mold our game.
Did they do anything differently in the second half? Like you mentioned before, you guys came out and you took the lead in the halftime.
Nah, not really. I think they played what we prepared for, what we saw on film is kind of how they came out and played. Of course, when they get up, they start playing a little differently, being a little more conservative. So not really.
Jawan, would you say it was a tale of two halves out there today?
Yeah, I think we got a little bit loose in the second half. And again, that just comes down to iron in on what you're doing and kind of just continuing to execute at a high clip, kind of how we were doing.
If I told you for the game that you guys would allow 242 total yards, they would average 4.2 yards per play, and they were 2 of 11 on third down, what would you have said?
I would have said that's a pretty decent ball game. Obviously you want to keep the yards down and you want to get that 0 of 11, but, regardless of that, we saw the scoreboard, we lost, and, we want to come out with that win, but, we're not in it for moral victories. So we want to come out with the win, and even though we executed a bit and kind of tapered off in the second half, we want to make sure we're executing throughout to give that win for our team.
It was much like last week where, hey, if it was 4 or 5 plays that go the other way, maybe you guys walk away as a victor. 100%.
100%. The guys often say, if everybody on the field, not even everybody, like you said, 4 or 5, if half the guys on the field had 5 plays, play their technique perfectly, 5 plays. Just jump off the ball a little bit faster. 5 plays just to be a little stickier in coverage than we would have had. It would have been a totally different ball game. And, that's just kind of been the tale of what's going on. And, it really falls upon us as players to lock in and eliminate those 5 plays or remedy those 5 plays, I'd say. And that's something that we're going to really delve into this week.
Can you take me through your 3rd sack of the year?
Yes, sir. Like I had said prior, our linebackers and our coaches do a great job of putting us D linemen in positions to rush the passer. So, the D linemen, pretty much everybody was gapped out, singled up, and I just took advantage of my shot there. Normally, as a D tackle, you see guys getting a sack off of, kind of rushing, pocket push, rushing powerfully. I ended up actually singling the guy out, rushing an edge, which is kind of, not really my style, but ended up winning on the edge rush. The guys did a great job of keeping the top on the rush, and I was able to get there. So, it was nothing but a culmination of great defense, and I'm very thankful for the guys for that.
Lastly, I just wanted to ask you this. What's this all been like? Because Quinn gets traded, you got an uptick in snaps. You entered this game 2nd in the NFL in terms of pressures from the defensive interior. You seem to be taking another step with more time.
Yes, sir. I mean, I always say it, it's just a matter of time on task. Time on task. The more opportunities you get, the more chances you get to execute. And I'm a big proponent of putting food on the table for my family. So, if I get a chance to go out there and execute in any way, then I'm going to try to execute what I'm doing for the defense, for the guys next to me, and then even better for this team, and even above that for my family and my children. And that's something that's very important to me. That's something that's very important to my wife and my kids. So I try to go out there and put my best foot forward every time I can.